Hello everyone, welcome to the 10th episode of PAINTCULIAR with me, Akin. As I'm editing this video, I'm in Bali. I think I'm gonna make another video about why I'm here. But anyways, that is not the point of this video. This video is about doll customization. As I mentioned in Theodore's video, this doll is going to be connected with him. I'm going to make Theodore's husband. I think it would make sense to make this doll a knight, seeing Theodore is a nobleman. Is interclass marriage allowed? Who am I kidding? I'm pretty sure they didn't allow same-sex marriage during the medieval time. But this is fictional, so anything's possible. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the project. For the base, I'm using another hybrid, a slow-mo's head and a Dawn of Justice body. I made the head fit the body the same way I did with Theodore by trimming the neck peg. I thought it wouldn't work because the Dawn of Justice neck seemed to be thicker than the Ever After high neck, but it did. Let's see how the head moves. It's really tight around the neck and it's not exactly perfect, but it's still pretty good. I can work with this. I remove the head again. As for the body, seeing I don't work with Ken dolls anymore, I'm reusing the Sam Hans doll body I made years ago. I already lengthened the lower leg, so I think this was a smart decision. Let's start prepping the head as usual. Cut the hair close to the scalp. Put it in hot water. Scrape off the excess hair. Pull out the excess hair. Remove the factory paint with pure acetone. The acetone can also be used to remove the flocking. The hands I'll be using were already painted the wrong color, so I removed the paint by submerging the hands in acetone. This looks kinda creepy. To erase the previous progress on the body, I'm just going to sand it with a piece of sanding sponge. I don't recommend using acetone on the body unless you're going to paint it entirely later. Using a sanding bit attached to my rotary tool, I reshaped the calves because they were too big. And with finer sanding sponges, I smoothened the transition between the epoxy and the plastic. Don't forget to rinse the body after. With more epoxy, I patched up the holes for the hands because they weren't quite right. Cover everything but the lower legs so we can paint them along with the head to match the rest of the body. I primed the whole body with 2 layers of MSC before blushing it with soft pastels. I think this is the best body blushing I've ever done. Anyway, I sprayed the body again with MSC and added nipples. Then I start drawing on the body hair. Afterwards, I gave the body 2 more layers of MSC, then 4 layers of watered down matte varnish. Now we can re-drill holes for the hands. Let's try attaching the hands. They fit nicely. We can start working on the face now. After giving it 3 layers of MSC, I'm giving it some blushing. Slow-mo's in natural skin tone is alright, I guess. Another layer of MSC to map the eyebrows and color the lips with soft pastels. Here I'm darkening the cheeks for the stubbles. After all that, we can start drawing the eyes. I'm drawing the stubbles but only around the cheeks because the mustache and the goatee are not gonna be drawn on. There was a paint bump or something, so I turned it into a scar. I don't know if it looks convincing or not. Now let's just finish the face up by building up the saturation. Don't forget the eye shines. For the hair, I'm just gonna flock it. If there's a bald spot, you can apply another layer of flocking. And then I start gluing loose yarn wefts for the mustache and goatee. I glue the wefts one row at a time from the bottom to the top. Now it's time to style it. Let me do that off camera. Yet another subpar face up, I'm sorry, but I think the facial hair is a yes and slay, so I think it's a win. Time for the scariest part, putting the head back to the body. I even bought a hair dryer for this, but I don't think it helped that much. It cracked a lot around the neck, but thankfully the face is fine. Moving on to the outfit, before we make the armor, we're gonna make him a bodysuit, an undergarment if you will. I already hemmed the leg pieces and sleeves. I don't remember the last time I worked with stretchy fabric, and I don't remember it being this annoying. Like all the pieces curled in, so annoying to sew it. As usual, we start by sewing the shoulders of the front piece and the back pieces together. Then we sew the sleeves. Here's what it looks like with the sleeves attached. I also added a turtleneck, and now we can sew the sides. Turn it right side out and let's try on the top part of the bodysuit. It looks good, a little loose, but it's fine. Now we can move on to the lower part. For the lower part, start by sewing the front seams together and just the front seams, nothing else. Now we can sew the top part and the lower part together like so. After that, we can sew the zipper. Close the zipper and sew the rest of the butt seam. It doesn't have to align with the existing stitches because it's difficult to do that. A little off to the side like this would still work. Now we can trim the zipper and burn the end to make a new stopper. Turn it right side out and it should look like this. Turn it back in, and all we have to do now is sew the inner legs to finish the bodysuit. Turn it right side out again and try it on. It fits pretty well. The bodysuit is done. Finally, we can start making the armor. Here's all the pieces. It's going to be a full body armor, so there's a lot of pieces. I used 3mm craft foam to make the base for the armor. I also used 1mm craft foam to make accent pieces that will be glued to the base pieces with contact cement. Apply a very thin layer of this stuff to the parts you want to stick together, wait a bit until they dry, then stick the pieces together. And please don't breathe in contact cement, that's how poor crackheads get high around here. Here's what they look like after I added the accent pieces. I hope they add more dimension or something. Now we can start shaping the pieces. Just hold them over the flame, but not actually burning them. Wait about 5 seconds to let them cool down, then shape them with your fingers. You can use various tools to shape the foam, like here I'm using a metal handle of an X-Acto knife. or you can mold it on the doll itself. Just be careful though, doing this might stain the doll. There are pieces that need to be assembled first to make a finished piece. Like the bracer here, I glued the pieces together after I shaped them. You can glue them together first and shape the finished piece. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think contact cement is flammable because I held these pieces over the flame and they were fine. Eventually, I had this. Shaping the foam wasn't all that hard, honestly, it was quite manageable. But between the burning foam fumes and the smell of contact cement, my brain was like short-circuiting. I referenced Delightful Seal Valley to make this armor. I feel like most of the things I know about doll custom they come from her. Anyway, here I'm making flathead pins for the armor joints. This is what it looks like when it's done. The part should be able to swivel. To keep the wire in check, I'm gonna cover the wire on the inside with a piece of vinyl fabric. And on the outside, I'm gonna cover the wire with circle pieces made out of 1mm craft foam. This is what it looks like after it's done. It's the arm part of the armor if you're wondering. To make the armor removable, I'm gonna make straps. First, I made rectangles out of vinyl fabric like this and glue magnets on one end. Then glue all this to another piece of vinyl fabric, wrong sides together. After the glue dried, trim the excess. You'll end up with something like this, basically short straps with magnets on the inside. Now you can chew up the spot where you want to plant a magnet that will correspond with the strap. Glue the magnet in place. Then glue a piece of vinyl fabric over it so the magnet won't go anywhere. Put it on a doll and determine where the strap should be before gluing it in place. The end result looks like this. You get the idea, right? I do the same thing to necessary places. The armor pieces should have been flush with each other, but oh well. The straps actually make it forgiving. Also, always make sure the magnets are facing the right directions. It's looking pretty good so far. I also made the pauldrons and the folds detachable with more magnets. I use a lot of magnets for this armor, like in total I think I use about like 36 magnets. It was a lot of magnets. I didn't use magnets for the arm and leg armor, I used lacing. Making the armor base out of 3mm craft foam might make it look bulky, but I trust it to handle this much tension. For the gauntlets, I'm just gonna sculpt them right on the existing hands. First, I sand them. Then I go to town with epoxy. And here's what we have. They look alright, I guess. One looks so much better than the other, but it's fine. For the shoes, I just took a random pair. I think these were heat burns. Anyway, with a sanding bit, I take out the details. Here's the before and after. Then I cover the whole surface with a layer of 1mm craft foam. I add more pieces out of 3mm foam to make them more interesting. And here's the finished shoes. And finally, all the armor pieces are fully assembled. But before we paint them, I'm gonna add raised details around the edges with hot glue. Now we can paint all the pieces, starting with the primer, which was 2 layers of black acrylic paint. Followed by 3 layers of dark silver acrylic paint. This armor wouldn't be complete without a sword, right? And I have no idea how to make one, but luckily I found this online. I think it's a pen, but there's no ink inside. Whatever, let's just glue the cap/hilt in place. With very diluted black acrylic paint, I give everything a wash. And then 3 layers of watered down matte varnish. With that, we can call it a doll. I name him Byron because that sounds like a medieval name. To be honest, I kinda don't like the face up, but the facial hair and the armor compensate for that, so I'm pretty happy with the end result. I finished the whole armor in like 4 days, so getting it done in such a short time was kind of an achievement to me. I really was rushing things. I wish I had made the pauldrons bigger because there's quite a gap there, but whatever, I tend not to cry over spilled milk. So what do you think of him? Do you like him? Do you not like him? Comment your opinions down below. Also, do you think him and Theodore make a good match? How do you think they'd end up together? I mean, I don't give any of them backstories, I just know they're husbands. So if you have any idea, please do share, I'd love to hear it. Anyway, it's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you want to. See you in the next one. Bye.